My name is Sasha Kagansky, and I work in the University of Edinburgh in research, and I'm also a member of Global Young Academy.
What is your main research topic?
The main research topic is cancer mechanisms. That's what I try to do. We try to see how, on molecular level, cancer cells are different from normal cells. And specifically, we try to see what small molecules are different. And then we try to present different small molecules from natural extracts to the cells to see if pathways in the cells can change enough for it to be useful in the medicine.
Is this a new approach?
I think this is quite a traditional approach. The ways to use this approach, they change a little bit. And I think now we have a great benefit of being able to take tumor from the patient and grow very quickly a lot of these cells and test them while they are not as different from tumor cells as in a model organism or in cell culture that was traditionally used that had too many passages after the tumor and was from a particular patient. Because we have miniaturization of everything and robotization, there are now ways to test many samples at the same time. And the same way we can collect many different medicinal species and make extracts and try them on many different patient-derived cell lines. And if we see some selectivity in the effects that extracts have on particular, here it looks like it might be something interesting. And we are trying to produce some data that could be useful for medical doctors.
Do I understand correctly that you use herbs in your research?
Some. I mean, this is not limited to herbs. We took endemic plants of Mauritius. Mauritius is a very small country, but it has very unique plants and other species, which some of which were used in medicine in the past, but the number of plants remaining for each of these species is very little. So it's high time to try and understand what they could be doing. And we have very exciting data. I think there will be more. We already published a couple of papers. I hope there will be a couple more on just a few plants that we got from there. And the same way there are other species. For example, the Far East, the Pacific coast of Russia and neighboring China had a long tradition in using mushroom extracts. Specifically, there are mushrooms that grow on the trees. A lot of them were used by Chinese traditional medicine and in the cases of cancer. And in Russia is a very traditional mushroom. In Russia it's called chaga. The Latin name is Inonotus. So it doesn't look very pretty on the birch. It creates such a black mask. We were joking as kids that it was some ancient mask left by some knight. But it was used by poor people instead of tea, because the taste of the extract is a little bit like extract of tea. And there is some anecdotal evidence, but I don't see why it cannot be true, that there was fewer cases of cancers in this more poor population than in nobles which had tea. And now modern science also agrees that it's anti-cancerous. There are publications connecting it very well to treating cancer, and it's not toxic. So I think it's very well should be one of the researched anti-cancer therapies, because I am an advocate of changing cellular mechanisms in a soft way.
You collaborate also with other researchers in order to raise awareness about the necessity of preserving biodiversity.
From the looks of it, majority of the medical plants are yet not studied in very exact terms of today's technological advances. And yet we almost are facing complete extinction. There's a massive extinction of traditionally used medicines around the world. But I think that for future we definitely would like to keep the forest going and the sea going, and to try and make common collection or depository of natural extracts. And I think the more we think about it and the more we tell about it and the more we agree as scientists from very different disciplines that it's good to have wildlife, even though we cannot completely understand what is it doing. I think that is what we would like to try and contribute to. That's why art's necessary, to be able to feel what the data suggests. And humanities, without humanities, there's no way to establish the common language and to understand the culture of all day, where maybe there was critical for today knowledge and shamanic knowledge, which was very heavily restricted and punished in some cases. But now I think it's in everyone's benefit to try and increase our knowledge. Maybe we are only at the beginning of the road. I think it's a very good moment, if not a very late moment, to engage with it, to find out together this enough for everyone. There's no time for competition in this.
What does the future of cancer treatment look like, in your opinion?
I am an advocate of changing cellular mechanisms in a soft way, because a lot of cancer therapies are so strong. Some of them, they destroy DNA very intensively as well. And I have to admit, they can cure or allow extra survival of uncurable patients. But I think in the future, the cancer therapy will be complex, because I see how fast immunotherapy of cancer is developing. And also, I see a lot of future in the genomic therapy, genomic and epigenomic therapy. But I think it's still a very long way to finding molecules that are regulating, that are changing the fate of the cells. Because in a particular metabolic context, if a person has a particular diet and if a person has a particular lifestyle, especially an adult, I think that the tissues in the organism, to various extent, are experiencing some particular stress. And I think we could correct this stress by adding natural molecules. Sometimes it's almost indistinguishable from food. I think if we understand what's the mechanism inside us that the molecules from the food and drink do, and air, the more we can actually make food our medicine, which it's a little bit of an idealistic concept proposed very long ago by the Greeks, but I think it was not far from where people would like to head with their own treatment. I think now the crisis with herbal medicine is exaggerated by some members of the public that don't see the difference between homeopathy and herbal medicine. I've heard a lot of people saying, this doesn't work, and a lot of educated people. But it's also very important. Looks like we need help from humanities here again as well, to try and separate understandings.
What motivated you to enter this field of study?
It's a difficult thing to say, but part of it is this trauma of losing people due to deadly disease. Every time you are in the hospital, you feel it tunes your mind into thinking about these things, and somehow trying to think about it, trying to deal with it, I think it helps to suppress anxiety and this uneasy feeling that all the life is associated with losing people. and almost everyone is under constant stress of losing people or expecting to lose a person or expecting personal decline or death. Of course, it is unavoidable and it's deeply in our culture, but I think that it does not allow us to breathe freely, and at times it's so strong that if people don't see solutions, don't feel like they can do something, it really paralyzes you, I think. And I felt paralyzed, and sometimes I still feel paralyzed. But my aspiration that through working on this, on the fields related, trying to collect bits of this puzzle, what are the molecules that can be put inside to try and talk your cells out of becoming cancer cells. And the reason why I've chosen the natural compounds is because I associate the death of my father from cancer with a dose of radiation that he got when he was cleaning radium at his work. And with my mom, she was complaining that she had leakage of chlorine in the gas, in the air at times, also because of the sophisticated equipment that she was operating at work. And therefore, I don't want to research radiation and its effects. And it's like a burn. And despite a lot of people don't trust in natural compounds, I think there is a lot of future in it. And also, I think if we pay attention at the different compounds in different plants and marine organisms and mushrooms and bacteria and yeasts, there is a chance that we don't lose them, that we will not be left alone as a human. I don't want to have a future or to have my ancestors live in a human-only world. And I think therefore we should find reasons. We should find very good reasons for humans to research nature and to be careful with it, because every species, it may seem insignificant, it may be a shrub, but maybe we then will discover that it was essential for a particular thing. We should not let all this diversity, all the forest go. I think we should try to cooperate and share the knowledge and share the molecules, and I think we may have a chance.
What keeps you going?
It's very interesting. I just feel that this area really is personal, and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to try and do it. Many people would say that I'm not successful, and I can agree that I would wish we could be much faster, and my mind could be much clearer. But I think it's such a great opportunity to try and discuss these things, with people who had different education. And it turns out that some of what I know can be useful or interesting, and therefore I think interaction is one of the things that keeps me going, the interaction with people, but also nature. I mean, I was going for a walk, and you already see birds, you see grass, so many different colors in green, and you feel great that you actually still have forest. It may surprise people in the future who may see this, that there's so much forest, and I hope not. I hope there will be still plenty of forest.
To you, what would it mean to be successful?
If we are looking for success, we may not know what we want, and we in what we do. Even if we keep going with with the information that we have, just trying to produce more of the good thing that you already uncovered, being able to see different things and to be able to look at the same thing at different angles is what is also very important. I think trying new things is good, because even if you, of course you have to spend time, and sometimes you feel like the time is wasted. But I think it happens even when you think you know very well what you're doing. That we are almost all experimenting in life, because there's no clarity with tomorrow.
What makes life meaningful?
I think I find this talking about this very difficult, because it is different from moment to moment. I think that meaning can change, and the way we look at the same thing can change. Therefore, I think hope is one of the meanings. I think that being hopeful, despite you know how dreadful things are and how more dreadful they may be, I think this feeling that things can go in an unexpected way, and you may surprise yourself even with the way you think about things and you live and what you do, that this feeling of hope becomes like a driving force, and if not a meaning, because some would say that hope is hollow, that it only substantiated by the things that may or may not happen. But in my opinion, it's a very nice thing. But also, of course, the very fundamental things like friends, family, and I don't want to be banal and say that love is the meaning, but I think that in a sense, this unexplainable feeling of aspiration towards other people and towards elements in nature, and some things that you cannot explain, even some things in the dreams or some impressions that you cannot put in words, they also substantiate life as a meaning, I think.
What kind of society do you dream of?
I wish there would be such a level of trust and mutual understanding between people in different cultures, and so much kindness and hopefulness, that the understanding of the disaster, of loss of someone, and of the death in general, and understanding the value of having good health and love people independently of connection to you by blood, if you want. I wish a future where people could informally meet like us and discuss big things that they are anxious about, that they're excited about, and where the sex, race, and the discipline of academic knowledge would not matter as much as what is that we can achieve, what are we trying to aspire to do, and how shall we feed people, how shall we treat them, how shall we commonly learn from different people. Adults learn from kids, kids learn from adults in different countries, and agreement of everyone on very basic things, like that everyone shares the same desire to survive, even if you are not human. This sounds like an acceptable future.
And do you have a personal dream?
I would like, before I die, that I would think that there is something that I knew that was worth knowing, or something that I contributed to, is helping people. Having ability to invest energy into something that is very personal, very fundamental for my own aspiration of the future. What I mean is, if I put my money, time, effort, attention to finding some drugs or some remedies for conditions that not only me or people that I know can suffer, but that far away in the future or in another culture, there always will be people who also may be helped by this. Because biochemically we are related more than just when we share a common DNA. On a material level, apart from a very nice spiritual feeling of this, but on a material level we also share metabolism with certain people. Just I think that the more we can do that, the more energy I put into it, and the more I think about it, and the more I exchange knowledge from people who use completely different tools or use completely different scientific or other language, the more we are empowering ourselves for the future, for friendship, for peace building, and we can also share good food and drink together.
If you could, what would you tell your younger self?
Try to focus on what people around you tell you, and especially the one that you love, and pay attention at what other things happen around you. Especially try to spend more time in nature and look at birds, look at animals, cats, dogs, learn from them, and don't worry, just do your best.